everybody. Today I want to talk to you about the movie Rat Race. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it before. It's really funny. It's about this big group of people who kind of scrambled to get $1 million. And in the process, they kind of step on each other, try and make each other, like, hold each other back from getting their $1 million so they could have it. But I don't know if they realize, really, once they get that money, are they going to be any better than they were in the race? Are they going to be better people? Or I don't necessarily think so. But I kind of agree with Tomlin. He said, the trouble with the rat race is that even if you win, you are still a rat. I think that that's probably really true. When we're trying to compete for something, we don't necessarily worry about other people. We're always thinking about ourselves. So we're scrambling, trying to attain a certain goal, but in the end, we might not even be any better off because, I mean, what made us different, you know? So I kind of want to talk about this in how it works in the business world. I think that thinking about the rat race, a person who's going through college and they're trying to do their best to get their business degree, and once they actually get into a company, they're kind of starting at the bottom usually. So they try and make their way to the top, but it's not always necessarily a civil way to the top. Usually, you have to look out for yourself. You have to think about not worrying about all your other co-workers, because they're probably wanting to get to the top also. If you want to be the president, there's only going to be one president. So you probably wouldn't worry about whether or not they're succeeding, but you probably wouldn't necessarily feel like a very good person because you were just worrying about yourself and not your coworkers, and that's kind of spending your life doing that, and I don't think that's a very good way to spend your life, trying to get your way to the top, but stepping on all these other people in the meantime. But once that person maybe reaches the top, what's going to be different when they're up there? Are they going to be treating their employees nicely? Probably not, because seeing as how they treated their coworkers, they're probably just going to be worried about how to get money, how to get the company money, how to get yourself money. And that doesn't always necessarily mean that you're going to be looking out for the coworkers, or the employees and how they benefit from it. But I think that the most important thing to look for is if the employees are happy or not, because those are the people who are going to make you money. But once you're at the top, you always see businessmen kind of brutal and ruthless. They'll be going around the country and just kind of not paying attention to any of their employees. And so, were they any better? Do you think that if they were doing things like that, trying to get up to the top, if they're going to change once they're actually, say, the president? So I basically just agree with what Tomlin was saying. Once you're a rat in the race, you're still going to be a rat in the end for the most part. So basically.
All right, Megan, I like the movie Is Your Attention Device. That worked pretty well, and I know what your point of view is on that, so that seems fine. There's not really a preview except that you've got the one example that you're going to talk about, which is okay, but I think, and when you get to that example, it really feels like you know, speaking of a rat race, like you're on one of those wheels, you know, where you just keep spinning and kind of saying that basically the same thing. And it always stays at an abstract, hypothetical level. You don't really have a particular case or an interesting story or example to tell, and so it's full of these, you know, kind of generalities that you're giving, and it always stays at a general level, and so I think you don't really get a chance to engage the audience much there. One of the other things that tends to contribute to that is that your pacing, you're speaking at a pretty nice rate, but it really feels very much like you are going to keep going at that rate, and there's no variation in the rate, so the audience doesn't really get much opportunity to be, you know, breathe and suck in what you're talking about and respond to what you're talking about, because you're just moving, you're going to keep going, you know. So even if somebody laughed or smiled or reacted to something that you said, you were just going to kind of keep going, and it felt a little bit like we might as well not be here because you're going to go. Your audience contact, I think that's the other thing that's a little bit problematic. You like these people on this side of the room so much better than the people on this side of the room, and I know that because, you know, you've talked to them and you're sitting over there with them and that sort of thing, and you just have a tendency to favor that side. It's not that everybody over here was ignored. They weren't. We got a glance or two, but man, I'd be jealous. All right. That's where we'll stop there.